Vines, vines, everywhere vines. Blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the vines? Okay. Iowa has several native vines. To control or not control vines really depends on your forest management goals. So vines can do a number of things and cause a number of issues in woodlands. They can add an excessive amount of weight to the canopy, making them more vulnerable to ice and wind damage. Their leaves in the canopy can block out the leaves of the tree you're trying to protect. If you've got a vine that's in the canopy of a tree that you're not considering for timber harvest, that could be a wildlife benefit. So you may not consider treating that vine. If you've got a vine or vines starting its way up a, say, potentially very valuable black walnut tree, that's a situation where you would want to control that vine. But a blanket statement that says, I'm going to control or kill all vines on my property is not a good idea. Poison ivy, native vine, creates beneficial fruit for wildlife. If you don't like it or it's an area of high recreation, you may want to consider controlling this. Oh, there's the fruit. Poison ivy's fruit is actually beneficial for wildlife, including songbirds. So poison ivy can get, arm diameter and width. The poison ivy has very dense fibrous structures that connect it to the tree. And that's a good ID characteristic versus other vines such as grapevine, greenbrier, Virginia creeper. Hey Aaron, wild grape, also good wildlife species, but can be an issue if it's associated with a potentially valuable timber tree. As opposed to poison ivy, it's got these less dense structures that kind of grab onto the tree and it hangs on instead of climbing directly up a tree. Very, very peeling, shaggy, shredded bark. It's the vine everyone thinks of when they think of a vine. But yeah, that is a massive vine. That could do some serious canopy damage. But if it's a low value tree, that's a great thing to leave for wildlife value. We found some vines. Now this is a vine species that you need to control regardless of your management goals. This is Oriental Bittersweet, a non-native vine that can absolutely engulf forest canopies and cause serious issues. So here you see the leaf, the vine itself, and a much larger example of the vine in the back left, which is ironically twisting around another invasive species in honeysuckle. And your forester can help you identify these and come up with a management strategy. Apparently Aaron has seeds of this in his truck. I don't know about that. We took these off site, don't worry. These were destroyed. Yeah, get that out of here. Now this is greenbrier, which is a native. This has wildlife benefit, but it can be problematic if it becomes very prevalent in your woodlands. Check out how it attaches to other vegetation. It's a lot different than poison ivy like we saw. That is a vine that most folks run into, often curse. Ooh, ouch. You can see it here. Very nasty vine there. But also delicious. The young tips are very good to eat. Identify it first though. Oh, and there's some Virginia creeper, also native vine. It's palmately compound with its leaflets emerging from a central point. But in general, a good way to identify vines is the means that they attach to a tree. So you can see here's a great example of vines really adding weight to the canopy, potentially blocking sunlight from the leaves of the actual tree that they're associated with. Actually quite beautiful. So it comes down to the question, is the vine on the tree impacting its future use or the benefit you want to see from that tree? There's some wild grape. So my professional forester and I, Aaron here, have decided that this wild grapevine could potentially impact future value of the associated tree, so we're gonna knock it out. And we've got a video on this, but Aaron is doing what's called basal bark treatment on this vine, which is simply coating the base with an herbicide that contains a penetrant, and that herbicide will soak through the bark and enter the conductive tissue of the plant, thus taking it out. That is a big vine. Notice the shredded bark of that wild grapevine. Here's another example of control. This time we actually cut it and did what's called cut stump treatment using herbicide. So cut it flush and then sprayed the conductive tissue with herbicide, which has a blue dye. It's very handy for seeing where the heck you've sprayed and where you've missed. Sometimes control doesn't work. This goes back to why monitoring is so important. This vine is resprouting, which is good for wildlife browse, but eventually it could reach up into the tree and cause damage that you're trying to prevent in the first place. As we all know, vines swing around, so sometimes cutting just once might be an issue because that vine will swing right back and it can form connection with the severed tissue. So, one handy thing to do with vines to make double sure is just take out a chunk so they don't come back, connect, and you're starting all over from scratch. Vine control in woodlands. We'll see you swinging on the vines.